Mark was 34 years old, had a decent job, and earned about $65,000 a year. On paper, his life looked fine. But every single month felt like a financial emergency. His paycheck would arrive on Friday morning. By Monday, most of it was already gone. Rent, car payment, credit card bills, takeout food, streaming subscriptions he barely used. And somehow, every month ended the same way. Checking account, $42.17. One night, Mark was sitting on his couch, staring at his banking app again. Same story, same stress, same question running through his mind. How am I making decent money, but still feel broke all the time? The strange thing was, his coworker Jason made about the same salary, same company, same department, same paycheck range. But Jason never seemed stressed about money. Jason talked about investments at lunch. Jason talked about rental properties. Jason talked about taking his family to Colorado for vacation. Meanwhile, Mark was hoping his car wouldn't break down before the next paycheck. One afternoon, Mark finally asked him, "Man, how are you doing it? We make the same money." Jason laughed. "It's not about how much money you make, it's about where your money flows." Mark didn't understand. Jason grabbed a napkin and drew two simple diagrams. Two boxes. The first one he labeled most people. The second one he labeled the wealthy. Then he started drawing arrows. "Most people's money flows like this," Jason said. "Income comes in and immediately flows out. Rent, car payments, credit cards, shopping, subscriptions. Money comes in, money goes out. Nothing stays. Nothing grows." Jason leaned back and said something that stuck in Mark's mind. "The poor and middle class spend their money on liabilities. The rich send their money to assets first." Mark had heard the words before. Assets, liabilities. But he had never really thought about them in his own life. That night he went home and looked at his expenses differently for the first time. His $520 car payment. His $1,800 rent. His $600 credit card balance growing every month. His $240 monthly eating out habit. His brand new iPhone on installment. Everything he owned was costing him money. Nothing was paying him. Mark realized something uncomfortable. His entire cash flow was designed to keep him broke. The next day, he asked Jason more questions. Jason explained something simple but powerful. Poor cash flow looks like this. You work for money, then you spend the money. Rich cash flow looks like this. You work for money, then the money starts working for you. Mark still looked confused. Jason pulled up a statistic on his phone. About 60% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, he said. Even people making over $100,000 a year. Mark nodded slowly. That's me. Jason smiled. Yeah, but it doesn't have to stay that way. He explained how wealthy people think about money differently. When they receive income, the first question isn't, what can I buy? The first question is, what asset can I buy that will produce more cash? Stocks, real estate, businesses, index funds, dividend-paying investments. These things send money back, even when you're sleeping. Mark went home that night thinking about something Jason said. Cash flow direction decides your financial future. For years, Mark's money flowed away from him. Bills, debt, consumption. No wonder he felt stuck. So he tried something small. Instead of spending his entire paycheck like usual, he set aside $200. Not for shopping, not for savings, for investing. It felt weird. $200 didn't seem like much, but it was the first time his money wasn't immediately leaving his life. He bought a simple index fund. Nothing flashy, nothing complicated, just one tiny asset. The next month he did it again. Another $200. Something interesting started happening. Mark began looking at purchases differently. That $300 pair of sneakers suddenly looked like almost two investments. That $70 dinner suddenly looked like part of a stock share. He wasn't becoming cheap. He was becoming aware. 6 months later, something surprising happened. His investment account crossed $1,500. It wasn't life-changing money, but something changed in his mindset. For the first time in his life, his money existed somewhere other than bills. 1 year later, Mark ran the numbers again. Investments, $4,800. Credit card debt, almost gone. And something else had changed. His financial anxiety started fading, because his cash flow direction had flipped. Before, money came in and disappeared. Now a portion of it stayed and multiplied. Jason explained another truth wealthy people understand. Wealth is built by controlling cash flow, not chasing income. Some people make $200,000 a year and stay broke. Others make $60,000 and slowly become wealthy. The difference isn't the paycheck. It's where the money flows. 3 years later, Mark looked at his accounts again. His investment portfolio had crossed $28,000. Still not rich, but something powerful had started. Dividend payments, market growth, compound interest quietly doing its job. Mark laughed, remembering the version of himself who thought wealth came from big salaries. Now he understood something most people never learn. Rich people don't just work for money. They build systems where money works for them. And it all starts with a single decision: changing the direction of your cash flow. Because the real difference between rich and poor people isn't income. It's what happens to money after they earn it. And once you see that difference, you can never unsee it.